What's up, everyone? This is Landman here with another episode of Cheeseheadz Weekly. This is episode, I don't even know. We're just getting so many episodes out. It's episode 36, though. And, we'll go over some reactions. Packers played early, played last week, early in the week, and on Thursday Night Football, I watched the entire game. Wasn't the most fun game to watch, to be honest, but we'll get into that then. To start with, you can check out the Q&As and the polls on Spotify. Participate in those. It makes things a lot more fun. There's a link in the description. Send in a voice message, a question, or topics you want me to see on the show. I'm looking for, maybe another segment or just random NFL topics that you think are interesting that you want me to discuss. I find it interesting to find a really good topic that people like and just be able to discuss that and go a little bit topical instead of always doing reactions and only reactions. Something to spice it up a little bit. So if you have any good ideas for that, please let me know. You can email that to me. I have a link to my email in the description. Send in a voice message for that, whatever you want to do. The show's available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and have a big announcement. The show is now officially available on Apple Podcasts. So, all you Apple lovers out there, and I'm sure there's plenty of you, you can now find the show on Apple Podcasts, if that's where you listen to podcasts. Pretty much, the show's now available pretty much anywhere you want to listen to it. And it's also available on my website at greatcove.net/cheeseheadz. I've been posting bold predictions on Instagram. I went live for my last bold predictions right before the game. And so that's all things that might be good for you to know. Follow me on Instagram, check out the website, and you can, by the way, you follow me on Instagram at cheeseheads_weekly. You can rate the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can also review the show on Apple Podcasts, looking to build those ratings up. To help build up the show. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a rating, or for Apple Podcasts, rating and a review. It would be great to see some of those. And of course, you can hit the bell on any platform that happens to have that to be notified when a new episode comes out. You can tell your friends about the show. That would be great. And I guess we'll dive in here. So I'll start with, I'm not sure I remember what the bold predictions were. I think I predicted for the second straight week that Luke Musgrave was going to have a big game. He got injured early on. I'm not sure he would have anyway. We'll get into that more later, but he got knocked out with a concussion. Hopefully he can be back next week, sooner rather than later. And then we have Keyshawn Nixon. I predicted him to get an interception. That didn't happen, although right at the beginning of the game, Rudy Ford got an interception. The only one of the game for the Packers. And then I believe my other one, was that the offensive line, even without David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, and with a limited Zach Tom, that they would hold Aiden Hutchinson to no sacks. I looked so foolish looking back on that one. And just looking back before the game at all, I was so excited for this game. I thought the Packers could really do well. I thought they really had a chance. I was all in. I could not wait. Started off great, and I was like, yes, here we go. And nothing happened. Literally nothing for a long time, other than the Lions scoring points and running all over the Packers with David Montgomery, of all people. Not even Jahmyr Gibbs. If it's Jahmyr Gibbs, I can understand. But no, it was David Montgomery just ground and pound, and he was picking up chunk gains. No huge runs except on the trick play and the jet sweep to on a trick play to Cleef Raymond. But yeah, just not a good performance at all um, by the defense or offense. Again, I will credit the defense some. I think they did need to get guys up there, stack the box a little bit more. They need to change things up. They didn't do the greatest job of that, but I will again cut them some slack because guess what? The Packers weren't making the Lions pass. They didn't have to pass because they didn't have to keep up to the Packers. They were leading the whole entire game, so they're going to run the ball. Now, again, you can still force them to pass in those situations just by stopping the run, and the Packers didn't do that, and so they kept running on it. I get that, but definitely was disappointed in the offensive line's performance, the defensive line's performance. They lost the game in the trenches. That's where the game was lost. Jordan Love did throw 2 interceptions. One was tipped. Probably not the greatest place to throw the ball. It was a pretty tight window. The second one, it wasn't really his fault either. He was starting to scramble, roll out, because, under pressure again. Romeo Doubs sees that. He figures he's going to just go turn, head for the back corner. He was on an in-breaking route, and he decides he's going to turn, head for the back corner of the end zone, go back outside. And sure, he would have been open, but Love was looking to throw to him on his actual route that he was supposed to run, the in-breaking route there, crossing route, and just um, Dobbs, I guess, saw that Love was starting to scramble. He would decide to go off schedule, go with the flow of his quarterback. The only problem is, as soon as Love started to roll out, he saw Dobbs breaking inside, and so he was like, okay, I'll just throw it right in there. And right when he throws it, Dobbs just turns, goes outside, and it's an easy pick for the Lions. So, yeah, 2 picks, not a great showing from Love, but again, he was under pressure running for his life about all game long. Took 4 sacks in the first half, not sure how many in the second, maybe not quite as many, but he was still being pressured quite consistently. Early on in the game, right guard John Runyon sprained his ankle, got it taped up, played through it, but definitely he was getting pushed around. Zach Tom was limited, was listed questionable with a knee injury going into the game. He was not at his best. Rasheed Walker just did not play well, played poorly. And then again, we had Royce Newman at left guard, which I don't think is the greatest move. In my opinion, he could have easily been cut with his performance so far, during the summer, preseason, all that stuff. He again showed why he should not be on the roster, and it's really sad. He started out as a starter, and it was okay. He wasn't great, but definitely something to build on for a rookie, fourth round rookie. I think at this point you try to put either Sean Ryan in, or else who had a pretty good summer preseason training camp, and or else you use Josh Nyman, move Zach Tom in or someone. Yeah, I think you got to do something with Royce Newman. He was just being pushed around, and Josh Myers did not do well at all either. Just absolute chaos there up front in the offensive line. On the other side of the ball, the defensive line. The Lions' offensive line was so good at opening up holes against the Packers' D-line. They did have some stops, and again, they did not let up any really big plays in the running game, but just chunk runs. They'd stop them once, and then they'd let them get, 8 yards on the next one. And it's just, you're not going to be able to stop them that way. They're just going to keep running, and, then that tires out the defense, and you really can't stop them. So, was really rough. I would have liked to see Joe Barry bring a safety down, something like that. And Matt LaFleur talked about it. Um, they're gonna have to try something new to be able to stop the run. And this has been a recurring theme throughout the past, I don't know how many years now. So, um, yeah, they were just outplayed on special teams too. We haven't really seen any good kick returns yet. Um, Keyshawn Nixon has consistently been running it out of the end zone like he was before, but still not great. Not been able to have any good returns in this game or any other games that I saw. Um, so yeah, just a really rough game. They did have a glance in the third quarter. That you started seeing some signs of a comeback again. But really, the Packers just got to start faster. You can't just go down double digits, 3, 4 scores, and expect to make it up in the second half. That's just stupid to think that. So the only points they scored in the first half was a field goal, and that's just because Rudy Ford intercepted it. Um, you know, got it down. I don't know where it was, but it was they were in field goal range when he intercepted it, and so they were in field goal range. They went 3-and-out. Anders Carlson stayed perfect on the season. We'll talk a little bit more about him later. Hit the field goal. Um, yeah. So, and then they had a touchdown or two. I don't even remember. I think they ended up with 20 points. Um, yeah, 34-20, and a pair of scoring drives in the second half is what it took to get them there. Missed a 2-point conversion at one point. Quay Walker pretty much ended the game with a really boneheaded, uh, what did they even call it? Um, something. A penalty. He jumped over the line. The Lions were going to kick a field goal. He just ran up, jumped over the line. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I don't think you can do that. But nothing happened. They went on, went through some ads, commercial break, and then they come back and there's a late flag. He got penalized for it. So yeah, just not great, and yeah, I don't like to see that at all. But other than that, Quay Walker was really good on the day. That's what really stunk about it. Kind of ruined his day. Because the Packers were looking to come back, and he was the best player on defense, making tackles, flying around. You saw him involved in almost every single play. He was really great out there. So, yeah, Packers need to get better. They need to get better on defense. They need to get better on offense again. Christian Watson was back. He caught a touchdown pass. Blown coverage, but um, what really needs to happen is the Packers don't have a running game. On offense, they need to establish the run. It was just it's inexcusable how much the Lions are pressuring them. And you know what the Packers did? They kept dropping back to pass again and again because they don't want to rush Jones back. I absolutely understand that. I'm okay with that. You want to get Jones healthy as long as you actually use him once he's healthy. For sure. But he was on a pitch count. And then A.J. Dillon. They each got 5 carries. A.J. Dillon got just as many carries as Aaron Jones. Patrick Taylor was elevated ahead of the game. And towards the end of the game, they were going more 2-minute offense, trying to come back from this huge deficit. And Patrick Taylor was getting a lot of work. Just not good at all. I think Taylor had 1 carry and a few receptions, maybe a couple. I'm not sure how many. But yeah, just the main issue is A.J. Dillon. I think they don't really feel comfortable using him again because he'll get maybe 2 or 3 yards. but he's not doing you much at all. It's been a while since I've seen A.J. Dillon actually make a nice run. It feels like he just does not have the juice. Aaron Jones will hit every little gap there is and just blow right through it and be in the second level and making guys miss and all over the place. Where A.J. Dillon, he sees a hole, he lumbers over to it. By the time he gets there, it's half closed, and so he plows forward, falls forward for a yard or two. That's all that happens. Like he's just yeah, it seemed like he was supposed to be athletic coming out of college, good speed for his size. He's not running really hard. Um, he needs to run harder if he's gonna win only with size and strength because if you have thighs that big, you should really be pushing guys around. Like, Eddie Lacy or someone. He does not look even that good. Um, Aaron Jones, we need you back. But when he's back, are the Packers going to give him that big of a workload? I don't think they are. And that's what really stinks about it. In other news, they are going to bring in James Robinson, formerly the Jaguars. That was when he was good, and he has not been good, not been able to stick with a team ever since. I don't think that's going to work out for them. I wish it would. They were interested in Jonathan Taylor at one point, and in fact were heavily interested in him from what I've heard. I think I can see why now, because really Jones, they like to just be able to use Jones for a lot of different things, and just for a few carries a game to protect him from getting injured. But what they're going to have to do is they're just going to have to give Aaron Jones the ball. They're going to have to feed it some to A.J. Dillon, maybe some to Emmanuel Wilson. Maybe he can run better than A.J. Dillon. I would not be surprised if he could. And I really feel bad for A.J. Dillon. I really want this guy to stick with Green Bay. I want it to work. It just does not look like it's going to. And it really stinks. Yeah, it really does. Because Dillon loves Green Bay. He has not been unhappy at any point during this. He's been perfectly fine being the number 2 back behind Jones, even though he came out of college. He was drafted in the second round. Had a lot of talent. Yeah, I just really wanted to see him be able to kind of develop and into a really good player. I think they drafted him to be the future at running back when Aaron Jones leaves, and just did not happen. So, yeah, doesn't look like it is going to happen, unfortunately. And he'll be a free agent after this season. And to be honest, I do not expect the Packers to bring him back unless he wants to come back on a really cheap deal, and he'll probably be able to get more money elsewhere. So, yeah, he said he wants to play here, for the rest of his life, but yeah, I just don't think he is going to be able to be that good to be able to stick with Green Bay, and it's yeah, I wish he could. Because I like him, the person, A.J. Dillon, the person. It's just the player, just isn't it. So I guess we'll get into our players of the game. Number one, I don't know what I should do. I think I'm going to put number one being Rashawn Gary. He was only pass rushing 14 times, but guess what? He had 4 pressures, a quarterback hit, drew a holding penalty. He is just, and I watched a mic'd up video on NFL Plus against the Saints. He was out there telling the refs that they need to watch for holds because he's so good that the offensive line, they're just gonna start holding him to keep him from sacking the quarterback because they cannot. He is unstoppable. Yeah, he needs to become a full-time player. Um, and I think he should be pretty good against the run too. Maybe that'll help some. I don't think it's going to a lot, but they're being smart, working him slowly back from the injury, the ACL. So he looks really good though, and I cannot wait until he is back to a full-time player. I'd say watch for him in week 7. Their bye week is week 6. So week 5 they have a game here against the Raiders coming up. Then they have their bye week. That'll give Gary time to rest. I think week 7 might be the time where they fully unleash him, and I'm really excited for that. And so we'll see what happens with that. Number 2, I'm gonna put I guess I'll put Romeo Doubs in here. He again was responsible for Love's interception, one of his interceptions, but other than that, he was really good. He caught 9 passes, a career high for 95 yards. Averaged 2.47 yards per route run. Had a 15-yard catch on 4th down to keep their touchdown drive alive, and drew a pass interference penalty in the first half. Unfortunately, 3 of his catches, 40 of his receiving yards came on 3rd and longs, and didn't convert first downs. And that was kind of the story of the night for the Packers offense. Number 3, I'm going to give... I thought about putting Quay Walker in here. But I'm going to give the kicker, Anders Carlson, some love. He made a 38-yarder in this game and to kick off the scoring, and then he hit a 50-yarder in the 4th quarter. That was perfect. He has not missed a single kick through 4 games. There's probably a good many kickers in the NFL right now who have missed some kicks. I'm sure there's some that are perfect, but it is only 4 games. But Carlson, man, this guy, I mean, training camp, he was missing some, did not look great. And then we thought, like in the preseason and stuff, that it seemed like he was going to be better with Pat O'Donnell holding. That was when he was making the kicks. Packers are like, nope, we're not even going to keep Pat O'Donnell. We're going to give Daniel Whalen the starting job at punter and holder, which, by the way, he's looked pretty good too. And then, yeah, Carlson, it has not mattered one bit. He has been great. Again, made a 50-yarder in this game, made a 52-yarder in another game. They haven't all been easy kicks, and he has just been banging them through. So, really happy for Anders Carlson. And actually, I forgot I'm doing 3 on offense, 3 on defense. I was doing 3 total. So there you have it. I'll put Anders Carlson with the offense here. So Anders Carlson, Romeo Doubs, the 2 offensive guys. To be honest, I really don't know who else to put in here. But I guess I'll just say Daniel Whalen is on the offense too and put him in here. Because they're just not a whole lot of players that did all that great. He had 5 punts, averaged 51.8 yards. His net average was 45.8. Forced 2 fair catches. Averaged 4.85 seconds of hang time. His best punt was a 52-yarder. Forced a fair catch. He also had a 51-yarder that pinned the Lions inside the 20-yard line after a penalty. And his shortest punt was a 47-yarder. It forced a fair catch. So he's been pretty good. Obviously, some things where he can grow. He's a young player. But he's had plenty of leg on these punts. And for the most part has been keeping the other teams away from good field position. And I mean, as long as the Packers cover the punt well, they very easily could have had some of these guys pinned farther back. But there was a missed tackle or two that I noticed. So I need two more in defense now. Number two, I'm going to put in here Quay Walker now. Did have that boneheaded penalty. Other than that, looked great. Was flying around. Everything. He looks like everything the Packers wanted him to be. He is a true starting linebacker right now, especially with Devondre Campbell struggling with injuries often. And so yeah, he's a leader on this defense, and it's fun to watch him on the defense, especially when the whole defense is clicking. Not quite as much in this game. And number three, safety Rudy Ford. He's been somewhat inconsistent, but he has some speed, and he intercepted Jared Goff on the Lions' first possession. He was solid in coverage, making tackles, and had 0 misses, 8 tackles. Several of his tackles did come at the end of big plays, cleaning up for others' mistakes, preventing touchdowns, but you know what? That's kind of what the safety has to do sometimes, especially in a game like this, and I thought he did a really great job. And that's great to see. We need another good safety that can play alongside Darnell Savage, and speaking of Savage, he has been pretty good. It looks like he's coming. He is starting to actually show why he was drafted in the first round here throughout the first 4 games of the season. But that's about it for today. I don't have any other topic to talk about, really. Like I said, you can send those in, email me, send in a voice message, whatever. Be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends about the show, and you can tell them that it is on Apple Podcasts. Maybe that's something that's holding you back from listening to the show. You don't have an excuse anymore because the show is available everywhere, and so you can listen to the show on Apple Podcasts now, and of course you can rate the show on Spotify as well. Got the Q&As and polls this week. Check those out. Send in a voice message, like I said. Send in questions as well. And check out the website. Follow me on Instagram at Cheeseheadz_weekly. The website is graycove.net/Cheeseheadz. That is it for me today. I will talk to you next week and give my reactions to the Packers game versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Go Pack Go.